So the Tomorrow War has been out for 2 days now, and I still haven't reviewed it. And I imagine some of you are thinking,
Well, we're waiting.
well, you'll soon understand why. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. That's right, we got a new setup. Today we're reviewing The Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime, starring Chris Pratt. This is going to be a spoiler review. There's a lot I want to say about this movie, so if you have not seen it and you really want to see it, step away now, come back at a later date. So diving straight into the movie, The Tomorrow War essentially tells the story of Chris Pratt's character, who is a science teacher, husband and father, relatively down on his luck in life. That is until some soldiers arrive in the middle of a football game to tell the world that a war is breaking out in 30 years' time and they need people's help from right now. That is essentially the plot of the movie. Now, before I go really into the spoilers, I want to touch on the positives of the film because I feel like I'm going to complain about this film more than I'm going to praise it, and I don't want the praise to be swallowed up by the complaints. It is made really well, quite competently. Acting and performances from just about everybody is good to on par. No one really blows anybody's socks off, but it's all serviceable. I think the premise in itself is actually really interesting. They can do some really fun stuff with that. And the biggest praise I have to give the film is the action sequences. They were fantastically done. They genuinely had an air of tension to them. You did worry that people were going to die, were potentially in danger as well. It was captivating and attention grabbing. There's a scene in particular with a helicopter. That was fantastic. Now to get to some of the complaints.
Put y'all seatbelts on. YOLO.
The real issue I have with the film is the specific laws they play in the time travel sequences. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. And they do try to explain it, and it's so weak, piss poor. You can pull it apart with one thread and say, well, that doesn't make sense or work at all. But they go with it, and you have to just suspend your disbelief several times through this film because they don't really bother to actually put the effort in to make this smart and clever when it really could have been. I also thought they missed a trick in the part where the soldiers arrive to tell everyone that there is a war in 30 years' time. The film just brushes through a huge section of time to basically we're now going to war. I would have thought that section in between of hysteria and worry and paranoia could have been one of the most interesting parts of the movie. How would a civilization react being told they basically have 30 years left? That could have been fun. But it's just glossed over, and somewhere in that little gloss over, we now can time travel somehow. It's, again, not explained very well. I guess it's the equipment the guys from the future are using, which creates so many paradoxes that I can't even begin to go into it. The dialogue is pretty awful in places. It doesn't know when to be funny and when to be serious, and 9 times out of 10 the jokes just didn't work for me at all. I took quote of one joke in the film. J.K. Simmons mentioned something about Stevie Nicks having a jar of pickles and a bottle of baby lotion. I mean, yeah, in my imagination I can put that together. I don't want to put it together, but you're making me put that together. It isn't funny, it's just kind of gross. I'm now just seeing that because you made me. Characters can be quite cliche as well, although I did appreciate that they tried to give some character development. A lot of films I've seen this year just have not even bothered. It's like they've slapped a name on the person and just shoved them out the door. At least here they tried, and a lot of it did work. It could have worked better if it was smoothed over though. And it's also a little bit predictable. The daughter keeps on going on about vaccines. She's like 8 years old, but she's looking for vaccines for something that's not even happened yet. She has no understanding of why she would need that. She's got no reason to need that, but she needs that, and it all very convolutedly works out towards the end as the gimmick that they were setting up from the beginning, and it's just not done well at all. You can see it coming from the second they put it into the film. Something I can compare it to is I Am Legend. Spoilers for I Am Legend. But the famous look at the butterfly scene, that works because it was nuanced. It was fitting of the characters. It was very natural, and it was delivered subtly. This film could have done with taking some notes. And just to touch on the time travel thing again, because this gave me a headache. They say that they can only jump to one specific point in the war. They can't just, go back a day or anything, which, that doesn't make any sense, because when they do fly out to war, the coordinations change and then they land where they weren't meant to land, which would then, be a different place. So, realistically, you can do what you say you can't do, because you just did it.
I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart and I want respect.
And then on top of that, in the landing, a lot of people just die. Like, people smack their heads on buildings, they're gone. If they know how these people's lives turn out, then the information they must have got must have been wrong, because they definitely didn't see that happening, did they? If they did, why recruit them? Just say, oh, this will go horribly for you. You need to stay at home. This is what I'm talking about. Apply a little bit of common sense, and this film falls apart. Switch off your brain, and it's a fun 2-hour ride. Mentioning the 2-hour thing, it is a bit long as well. You do start to feel the 2 hours. After about an hour and a half, you feel like, okay, yeah, this is coming to an end. And then it just sort of keeps going. And it doesn't need to, not really. And there's lots of scenes that you can see that could just be swiped out, don't need it. Chris Pratt meets his daughter, but in the future version, and they need to have this discussion about, what happened? What does Chris Pratt not know that she knows? And she purposely just doesn't have the conversation with him. And it's weird, because you've built this scenario. It's a really engaging and touching scenario. Give the audience the moment. Why are you holding this back? This is the time to give it. And what makes it even more criminal is that they literally follow that scene up with them having pretty much the same conversation on a helicopter ride, and again, not delivering what she needs to say. She just puts it off again. It just makes you aware that this is a movie and they are purposely keeping the audience in a sense of what's going on. But to finish on a fairly high note, the enemies in this, the White Spikes I believe they were called, I actually thought they were really cool. They looked great. They are a little bit jerky sometimes in the animation, but I actually thought it kind of worked. It made them a bit uncanny, like it's not something you've seen before. You look at it and it is strange to the eyes, and therefore it does kind of freak you out a little bit just in the way they move. There's a brief scene where one of them is hiding and its jaw is sort of like going... Why? I don't know. Creepy? Yeah, a little bit. I thought they were pretty effective enemies, and they really did add quite a lot of fun to the film, and really heightened the action scenes too, because they were formidable opponents. Ultimately, it's too long, and the film asks the audience to switch off its brain and just accept things far too many times when it really doesn't need to. This could have been really sharp, really quick and clever, but it just feels a bit safe in places and cutting a lot of corners. Its highlight really are the action scenes and the craft behind the action scenes. So I'm going to give The Tomorrow War a 6 out of 10. It's written sloppily, but made well and quite enjoyable. That's the best way I can sum this film up. Thanks for watching this review. If you could leave a like and subscribe, make sure to hit the bell icon so you don't miss any uploads. Be sure to leave a comment as well, but I would love to hear what you thought about the movie. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.